I've been wanting to talk about this for a while now. I mention it a lot in these videos. The four yuga cycles laid out in the Hindu tradition using Vedic astrology. Now, I don't really adhere to this model. I think it's a good model. I think there is a big lesson here, a big pattern here that we will discuss. But essentially, I have it here, so I'm looking. Essentially, the Hindus believe, and rightfully so. It's not a belief really. It's a knowing that time is cyclical. It's not linear as we humans think of it. It's cyclical. It goes in cycles, and you would really need to upgrade your consciousness to be able to see that time is cyclical, that everything just repeats itself, because infinity has nowhere to go. It goes on like that for infinity, because linear time implies there's a start and there's a finish, whereas cyclical time implies that there is no beginning and there is no end, and it just kind of keeps going on and on and on and on like this. So this is the model. I'll explain it a little more. Basically, the Hindus say that there are four different ages that the earth goes through. Now, this one is specifically for the earth. You have to keep in mind how many different planets there are, how many different star systems. It's tremendous. Now, just to point it out, even within Hinduism itself, people have major disagreements on the accuracy of the yugas, because different models will describe it in different time periods, different chunks. So let's just take the model. This is why I don't really adhere to it per se. Let's take the model as a useful model to study and maybe learn something from. Okay? So the four ages, the first one is the Satya Yuga. That's the truth age. That's the longest. So it's described, it's an age where virtue is at 100%. So you can call it the age of enlightenment, the true golden age. There is 100% virtue and 0% vice, pure goodness. Okay, and it's the longest one. It's the yellow one here. See, that's the cycles, and it's the yellow one. So it's the longest one by far, right? So then comes another age, Treta Yuga, 75% virtue, 25% vice. And that's the second longest. That's the green one. You see the green one here? Third one, Dwapara Yuga. Third longest or second shortest. And that's 50% vice, 50% virtue. And that's the orange one. So yellow is truth, 100% truth. Longest one. Second longest would be the green, Treta Yuga, 75% virtue, 25% vice. And then the orange one is I always have problems pronouncing it. Dwapara Yuga, and that's 50-50. And then the last one, that's the shortest one, blue, that's Kali Yuga. That's the age of darkness, and look how short it is. It's the shortest one. Now, why do I like this model so much? Well, first of all, by the way, most Vedic astrologists who adhere by these yuga cycles, most of them agree that we are now moving out of the Kali Yuga, that we already moved out of the Kali Yuga, the age of darkness, the blue one, into the Dwapara Yuga. So the one where it's 50-50. So Kali Yuga is 25% goodness, 75% evil or badness or whatever you want to call it. And they have different time periods. This one says it's a 25 or 24,000 year cycle. Interesting, because in the Law of One, Ra says, it's a channeled material. Ra says that the Earth goes through three different 25,000 cycles, 25,000 year cycles, and that's their density. So there are some parallels in between this model and between the law of one and the model laid there. Nevertheless, what I'm going to do is I want you to see the overall picture. Look how short the Age of Darkness is. And here's the interesting thing. The Age of Darkness, that's the blue, still has 25% goodness, despite it being the Age of Darkness. Now let's take a look at the yellow one. That's the Satya Yuga, Age of Truth. It's 100% goodness. What does that tell you about the nature of consciousness? What does that tell you about the nature of the Creator? What does that tell you about the nature of the universe? It's benevolent. It's benevolent. The fact that even in the Age of Darkness, you have 25% goodness, that's saying a lot about the nature of the universe. Now, why does bad exist? Why does the Kali Yuga exist? Because consciousness wants to experience contrast in order to know itself, in order to appreciate itself. That's why gratitude is one of the highest vibrations anybody can get into if you're practicing gratitude on a regular basis. What is the gratitude for? The gratitude is an acknowledgement by you, your consciousness, an appreciation of yourself, an appreciation of your true nature as pure light, awareness, beauty, benevolence, love. You see, that's why the Kali Yuga exists. That's why it's there. And even when it's there, there's 25% goodness. Not very difficult to see. We're just coming out of the Kali Yuga, and yet there was always some goodness there. Whereas in Sat Yuga, you have 100% goodness. There's none of that darkness at all. None of it at all. That tells you about the nature of the universe. The universe is benevolent. The universe is love. It's love. It's beauty. And the contrast is necessary for consciousness to appreciate itself. It's like very, very easy. You know, if you've been cold, you're outside and you're cold, and you walk into your house and it's nice and warm, and maybe you get a cozy fireplace. Now at that moment, your appreciation for the warmth and for that fireplace in your house is skyrocket high. But if you never experienced the cold, if it wasn't that cold, or if you keep doing it repeatedly over and over and over, that appreciation is slowly but surely lessened and lessened and lessened and lessened until it's there no more, because that's just the way it is for you. Like, you don't really appreciate the fireplace, you don't appreciate that your house is warm. If you're getting it every day, the appreciation is lessened. But the first time, let's say first day in winter, and you just got a fireplace, and it's like you've been cold and you just got it, your house was cold, but now you got a fireplace. That first day, your appreciation is skyrocket. And then second day, it's there, but not as much. Third day, it's there, but not as much. You see? So that's why consciousness loves contrast. It wants evil, it wants darkness, but for a short little while, not too much. So when I say in these videos, I just gotta get rid of something here. Yeah, when I say that the game is rigged towards the light, this is what I'm talking about here. See, the game is rigged towards the light. Consciousness would not create a game in which it couldn't find itself very quickly, in which it couldn't experience itself as benevolence, as love, as truth for the majority of the game. Now, this model is in parallel with, say, the model laid out by Ra, which is a social complex, the sixth density being, in the book The Law of One. Because he describes also the 7 different densities, okay? And it's also cyclical, by the way. You go through the 7 densities and then you repeat them again. You see, so it's similar model. I think where the differences are is like how many years are in each cycle, etc., etc. So in the model Ra lays out You have all the different densities. The third density is by far the most difficult. That's the one we're in, moving out of. That's where most suffering is. That's when you have amnesia, forgetfulness. You forget who you are completely. And that's where you have the most suffering and the most darkness. This is the one we're just moving out of into the fourth density, you see? So, the cycle for third density for a particular planet is 75,000 years. So 3 25,000 year cycles. Then once you immigrate out of that into fourth density, which, you know, if you're a positively oriented, you go into the positive side of it, it's love. And then fifth is wisdom. Sixth is the balance of wisdom and love. These cycles go on for millions of years, and there's very little suffering. There's very little suffering in those cycles. Okay, so it's like the shortest one, but the most intense one is third density, but it's also the shortest one, 75,000 years. Whereas we're talking millions of years in these other densities, in these higher densities. Buddha describes something similar. There is the 31 heavens and hells in Buddhism, and also same thing. See, different models, but they're pointing to the same truth. You know, Buddha says that as you ascend in consciousness, and he describing all the heavens where all the gods, and he's basically describing fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh densities, right? He also says that the time there is like, you know, here on earth you experience shorter lifespan, but then as you ascend in consciousness, your lifespan increases and increases and increases and increases and increases, and the suffering is lessened and lessened and lessened and lessened and lessened. You see? So there seems to be many models who are pointing the same thing, and that's what I want you to take out of this. Don't get caught up in the actual, well, this is the how much time there is, how much time there is. It seems to me that time is cyclical, everything keeps repeating, and contrast is always something that is demanded by consciousness to experience, but in short bursts and in very intense, mind you, but in short bursts, and in as short of a time as possible, because the nature of the universe is benevolent. The nature of God is love. And if it was the other way around, then the cycle would be the other way around, actually. You would only get to experience benevolence for a little while. And the overall scheme of the universe would be towards darkness, towards malevolence, let's say. But that it clearly isn't the case. Clearly isn't the case. So this helps you put the events that are going on right now into good perspective, into you know, to understand. Because, you know, there's a lot of people out there right now that have, you know, pretty much like completely lost hope, and they're thinking, oh, we're all gonna get max vaccinated now. That's it. It's game over for all of us. They're gonna keep rolling 5G, and they're gonna keep killing us, and they're gonna enslave us, and they're gonna send us to FEMA camps, etc. You're under, as first of all, the game's rigged. The game's rigged towards the light. So, in the Law of One, Ra says that in the days of ancient Egypt, which was part of the Kali Yuga, okay, it's part of the Dark Age, Ra, which is a benevolent sixth density complex, it's a spirit, if you want to think about it like that, came down and wanted to actually help raise the consciousness in Egypt. And there were certain individuals that they believed if they gave their knowledge to, they could help an awakening to happen at that time. The problem is we were at the heart of Kali Yuga, the age of darkness. So everything that Ra, these benevolent beings, revealed to these humans that were in human form at the time ended up being misused and hijacked by the Cabal. So you have the triangle, the eye, so many of the Freemason, Mason and Illuminati symbols got hijacked. These are not bad symbols. They can be used for good, they can be used for evil. They're not bad symbols. You know, the pyramids are powerful things, right? And they all got hijacked. Why? Because that's the flow of the cosmic cycles. You see, no matter what you do, it's going to be used towards the dark. Now we're moving into the Dwapara Yuga, or the age of Aquarius, or into fourth density, whichever model you want. You could use spiral dynamics too. So you have all these things happening right now. For example, coronavirus. Coronavirus it exists. It's unleashed by the cabal in an attempt to cause chaos, in an attempt to collapse the economy. The population control, etc., etc. It goes on and on. But because now the cycles are moving towards the light again, because that's it, we're done with that contrast now. It's all being used now for the light. So this coronavirus, for example, is being used by the Alliance. We can call them the White Hats, to crack down and carry out the mass arrests. You see, so it's like it doesn't matter what they do now. It doesn't matter what the cabal does. It's getting hijacked, let's say, by the light, by the White Hats. Much in the same way that a few thousand years ago, the good guys, let's say the White Hats, came down and said, we want to raise the consciousness, and then it got hijacked. All this ancient technology and all these ancient symbols and the pyramids, etc., got hijacked by the dark side, because that's the cycle of it. You can't really fuck with cosmic cycles. It's just, there are so many forces acting upon us right now. Planets, stars, extraterrestrials, so many. And we're so narrow-minded because that's the nature of 3D. It's the amnesia, and it's seeing things from first person rather than third person. Not to realize that. We're so narrow-minded that we're looking at the chess pieces, thinking the chess pieces are the ones doing the work here. They're carrying out everything. And when you realize that the cosmos, there's so many forces that are far more, their power is far reaching than, say, the Rothschild. Like compare the Rothschild's power in the universe to the sun, for example. You know what I mean? Like the sun has so much more of a say of what goes on on the planet than, say, the Rothschild family, right? I'm just trying to show you here how many forces are acting upon us at all times. And so the universe now is shifting towards the Dwapara Yuga. That's what the Hindus call it, or fourth density is what Ra calls it. And then obviously there's names for it in the spiral dynamics model, but all the models show us the same thing, that there is an evolution process, there's an ascension of consciousness, but there's also a descension at some point, but it's usually short and intense, and it doesn't last very long, and its purpose is to provide contrast so that you can come around the other side, appreciating your true nature, the nature of the universe, as benevolence, as love, as truth, as wisdom, as beauty. And if you are not able to grasp this, you're going to be paranoid as fuck right now. You're going to be paranoid as fuck because you're not able to grasp the cosmic cycles. So you're going to be stuck on what's happening right now. We're in lockdown. Everybody's in lockdown. The government's trying to now is trying to take our freedoms and stuff. No. You know why World War III can't happen anymore? Because it can't be. Because the mass consciousness now doesn't want it to happen anymore. It can't happen. There are certain things that just can't happen anymore. They can't happen. And we can't go back into the Kali Yuga. That can't happen. That can't happen. There's so many different forces here. Planets, stars, ETs, extraterrestrials that are so advanced, that are acting upon all of this. It's like when you see it like that, you just relax and you're like, oh, all right, I see. We're moving into this. We're being ushered into this new age. It's not the golden age. Don't mistake it. It's not the golden age. And 4D is still, there's still conflict in 4D. There's still conflict. Dwapara Yuga, that's 50-50. 50% virtue, 50% vice. Still gonna be vice, right? But now the cosmos support this upward ascension, and it's gonna be a long time before the earth has to go back again and repeat, go into its darkness again. It's gonna be a long time, long time, because the earth will have to go through all the different densities before it goes back into before it repeats the whole thing again. You see? And so I'm in a celebration mood right now because I sort of understand these cosmic cycles, and it's just not, and I'm not using one model. I'm looking at several different models, and they all seem to agree that that's the direction we're heading into. So yeah, just wanted to share that. Thank you to all the patrons and all the people who support on PayPal. We've been getting a lot of donations recently. Thank you so much. All goes to the Off-Grid project. I'm very excited. That's gonna be carried out soon. And Instagram, it's my name, same name as this channel also, if you want to talk about anything or you got something you want me to make a video on or whatever. And until next time, may the force be with you.